Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Morning Mastery Tuesday morning. I'm super excited for my guest. I'll give him a little bit of an intro here shortly. So today's a total catch-up day. It seems like yesterday the kids were off from school and I was working out of the office. It's going to be a busy morning, but I'm always excited to meet up with you guys for 15 minutes and just talk about life. We've got kind of a big, not kind of, but for sure a big picture type item that we're going to talk about. And I've got my friend John Groberg on the line, and he's in my neighborhood, and I always value his perspective and opinions. He always just is an amazing guy. And whenever he speaks, I have one of those aha moments. For whatever reason, he brings in an angle that I always appreciate to the subject that's being talked about. And I'm thankful for him for it because it helps me bring a different perspective in my life that may answer a question that I might have or a solution I'm looking for. So before I introduce him, one of his focuses is Viva Med Suites. And it's Arizona's premier medical co-working clinic. And so take a look at them, Viva Med Suites, V-I-V-A Med Suites. And kind of see what John's focus is. Take a look at that website, vivamedsuites.com, for him giving us a few minutes this morning. So without further ado, John, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the topic he is going to speak about is a topic that he covered a few weeks ago that it just resonated with me. Like we said, it's big picture. It's not going to be real estate oriented, which is fine. So John, if you don't mind, just start to dig into that topic, and I'm going to be taking notes and ask questions that may spike any other questions that people have. So I appreciate you, John, coming on. Thank you so much.
Great. Yeah. So I guess I'll just start with kind of the way I started a couple weeks ago that Spencer was referring to. I said I'm going to make it's kind of a new year, and so I'm going to go ahead and make 4 predictions for the new year. And I've made these 4 predictions for many years now, and so far I have a 100% track record of them being correct. So it might be good to listen in. So here's my 4 predictions. 1, you'll get some of what you want. All right, so we'll call that satisfaction. 2, you'll avoid some of what you hope to avoid. So we'll call that relief. All right, so those 2 are let's just call those the good stuff. Right? Number 3, you'll fail to get some of what you want. So that might be experienced as disappointment. And 4, you'll fail to avoid some of what you want to avoid. In other words, you'll get what you don't want. And that can be experienced as like a shock or a despair or discouragement, depending on the situation. It could be devastation, depression. So those are kind of 4 categories of things that are going to happen to you, this year. And when I talk of, the new year is really, I like to kind of think of it as just marking another trip around the sun on this spaceship that we call Earth. It's this ball that's traveling through space, rotating around the sun, and we're all on it, right? And the Earth has made a few billion trips around the sun so far. It probably has a few billion more to go, who knows? But we get to drop in for a very brief, 75 to 100 trips if we're lucky, right? I mean, just being here qualifies us as lucky, and the number of trips we get to take around the sun is different, but the question is, what are you going to do with this next trip around the sun? What are you going to use it for? And for 99.9% of us, it will essentially be used for one thing. And that one thing is the same thing you've been using your trips around the Earth for, or the trips around the sun for, pretty much your entire life, minus maybe your first few years of life. And before you start feeling bad, it's also the same thing that 99.9% of people from the beginning of man on Earth have used their few trips around the sun for. Now, it looks maybe different on the surface, but essentially it's all the same. And what is that? I would argue that it's to do the bidding of your ego. And essentially, you'll be driven by the desires and the fears of your ego. You'll spend all your time and energy, both waking and sleeping. That's a topic unto itself. But trying to manipulate and control your circumstances and the people in your life to get what you want and avoid what you fear. Or I think it's more accurate to say to get what your ego wants and avoid what your ego fears. Right? So that's why my 4 predictions that we started with have a 100% track record of being accurate, because that is the life of the ego. When you look at it with just a little bit of distance, it's comical, really, in a tragic way, but it's true. And that's pretty much what's been going on with billions of people for however long people have been on the earth. And the result is that any sense of happiness or inner peace is very fragile and very temporary. Because even to the extent that you manage to control people and things in your world just right, you might manage to get a little bit of the good stuff, but you'll also get some of the bad stuff. And even if you're able to mostly get the good stuff, your ability to enjoy them or to enjoy it will be short-lived, because you'll be worrying about how to keep the good stuff from being stolen by the bad stuff. So I think we can all relate to this, because I think we have a lot of experience with it. And in fact, it's commonly called the human condition, right? And it is, but again, it would be more accurate to say it's the human ego condition. And so the question is there a higher way to live, or are we doomed to basically just doing the bidding of our ego our whole lives? And is there a better way to spend your next trip around the sun? And I say, yes, there is. But it's totally unavailable to the ego, right? So it's not just about switching the focus of your desires and your fears, or changing it up, or coming up with new goals. It's acknowledging that this higher way is totally unavailable to the ego. All right? And so there's an illustration that I think can be helpful. You've probably all seen it in second grade science class of the layers of the earth. Right? You've got your crust on the circumference. You've got the mantle, which is kind of in the middle, and then you've got the outer core and the inner core, right? I'm sure you can visualize that. So to me, that's a great visual for a good understanding of who you are, right? There's the crust, let's just say, represents the external world, the people, the circumstances, all that is external to you, right? The mantle, that middle part, is what I would say represents the ego. It's underneath the exterior, but it's still not the core, right? It's kind of dark, fluid, volcanic, and it kind of represents your personal mind and emotions, right? And then for purposes of this discussion, there are some distinctions between the outer and the inner core, but we'll leave that to another discussion for the purposes of today, let's just treat them as your spiritual core, as one. All right. And so with those kind of three different levels, I think it's helpful then to now talk about goals, hopes, and dreams, because I think this is a new perspective. Maybe you've heard it before, I don't know, but generally society teaches us that these are desirable things to cultivate, goals, hopes, and dreams, right? I'd like to maybe share another perspective for your consideration. Goals are basically the way we go about trying to reach our hopes and dreams, right? And as our hopes and dreams change, our goals will change. But maybe you can already start to see from our discussion so far that hopes and dreams are really a product of the ego, of the middle, not the core. I'd even be so bold as to say that hopes, dreams, and goals are the very food that feeds and fattens up the ego. They're the product of our personal desires and fears. Right? They're the model of reality our minds come up with to accomplish the stupid mission we give it. Right? So the human mind is actually a brilliant thing and a total gift of God, but we give it really stupid assignments. We say, mind, I want you to figure out how everyone and everything needs to be on the outside so that nothing disturbs all my garbage I've stored inside and refuse to release. And our brilliant mind goes to work and comes up with a set of hopes and dreams, and then a whole host of goals for how to make those hopes and dreams a reality to fit that stupid mission that we gave it, right? And that's why even when we achieve goals and reach our hopes and dreams, we still feel empty, you know, and we still are worried and anxious and fearful and, you know, driven about by desires and habits and compulsions. So this is, I would say, better than, you know, one alternative, which is to just withdraw from the world and be depressed, you know, and do nothing. I'm not saying that, but it's definitely not the higher way that I'm talking about. It's not spiritual, you know. Hopes, dreams, and goals are not spiritual. Now we can make so-called spiritual hopes and dreams, but they're what I'm contending here for your, you know, consideration is that even those, you know, that we put a spiritual label on are products of the ego. It's just the spiritual ego this time. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't get you deeper than the middle layer of yourself, right? In fact, it gets you stuck there, right? Mm-hmm. So is there a better alternative? And I would say, you know, there is, but I think we're running up on your time, so I don't know if you want me to go into more of that.
Well, we'll have to be continued. I mean, it's very, very thought-provoking. I appreciate it, and like you said, please consider, or for you to consider. I mean, this is all you know, relevant information to our lives of how we're living and what feeds our ego, and like you said, your 4 predictions. You'll get what you want some of the time. You'll get what you don't want some of the time. You'll avoid what you want to avoid some of the time, and you won't be able to avoid some of what you want to avoid some of the time. So basically, you can see these as desires and get some, won't get some, fears, avoid some, won't avoid some. This is definitely, like you said, the human condition of our lives, and this is a revolving cycle. So my my question, and we're gonna have to do a follow up with John because our time's out. But I think it comes down into how do we get out of this violent circle of the human condition of these wants and fears and hopes and dreams, and basically just obtain true happiness. And this just satisfaction and relief, disappointment. I appreciate it, John. Let's definitely do a follow-up call in the next few weeks with each other, and maybe go into, if you don't mind, diving in to getting out of that cycle and kind of what you're leading up to, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Well, cool, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that we got your brain thinking enough this morning that you're going to go out there and be successful and accomplish amazing things today. And that's what I want each of you to do is just be happy, be successful, and to accomplish your dreams today. And John, thank you once again. I appreciate your friendship and who you are. And you know what? I need to make 3 announcements just really quick. We have a co-living event at my office January 30th. And you've been hearing a lot of talk about pad split or co-living. And it's January 30th at my office from 6 to 8. And also I'm having a big birthday party on my birthday, February 8th, with Pace Morby, talking about creative finance. And there's nothing more than I want to do than spend time with you guys on my birthday talking about real estate and helping you be successful. And likewise, the last announcement that I have is we have hit a monumental 4.8 stars on Google at my restaurant, Caldwell County Barbecue. And I'm announcing to the staff that I am going to be spending thousands and thousands of dollars and buying everyone a new pair of shoes for working in if we can maintain that 4.8 level at Google. So if you've eaten at Caldwell County, please log into Google and give us a 5-star rating. And if it's not 5-star, reach out to my cell phone, my personal cell phone, and let me know why it's not so I can fix that. So I appreciate you all, and especially John, I appreciate you today. Thank you for your thoughts.